When I started my career as a recruitment consultant, there were so many successful people in the office and they were offering nice cars, fancy incentives, etc. And I remember hearing some people bragging about making 15, 20, 25k a month in commission only. But I had no clue, no idea on how much you could realistically make as a recruitment consultant. And I believe that it is important. This is why I'm going to break this down for you in this video, whether you are considering starting a career in recruitment or you just want to know if you are paid enough. And if you have nothing to do with recruitment, but you are just curious to know if recruitment consultants are making so much money or if it's just fantasy, that's fine, you can stay. But then leave a like. And if you're a recruiter too, by the way, leave a like. So first thing first, let me remind you in 30 seconds how a staffing agency makes money. So you have a company who is looking for a profile and you have someone who is interested in a new job or a new mission. You match them and you charge the company for your services and a successful placement. If you place an employee, you charge a one-time fee, which is usually around 25 or 30% of the candidate's annual salary. If you place a contractor, then you charge a daily or hourly margin, which is usually between 15 and 25% of the contractor's rate. So this money is for the staffing agency. Now, how much is for you? So there are two things here. Recruitment is a commission-based job, which means that you have your base salary and your commission. So let's start with your base salary. And the first thing to know is, because it is a commission-based job, your base salary will be lower than a non-commission-based job because you have your salary and you have commission on top of that. So it makes sense. And that's the first thing to know. When you are starting, your base salary won't be very sexy, usually between 25 or 30k. When I started my career, but it was 8 years ago, I was at 25k. And maybe with a non-commission based job, I would have expected something around 30k. So you see there is a slight difference. However, it is important to mention that if this is true when you are starting, your salary will go up very quickly with your promotions. And in recruitment, it is not unusual to be promoted every 6 or 12 months if you are doing good. So you could start at 25k, but within 2 or 3 years, you could already be around 35 or 40k. And also you have nice benefits, such as a car, a laptop, a phone, etc., depending on your country. And then there is the best part, the commissions. And it works differently between perm and contract. So in permanent recruitment, to know how much you're going to make on a placement, agencies usually have a sliding scale, which means, for example, that if the invoice charged to the client is anywhere between 0 to 10k, 5% will be for you. If it's between 10 to 20k, it will be 10% for you. And if it is above 20k, for example, it will be 20%, above 30k, it will be 30%, etc. And this is to incentivize you to work on high paying roles, but also to have as much as starters as possible within your period. So let me show you how it works. If, for example, next month you have 2 starters for 28k. So the first part of the invoice between 0 to 10k, you will get 5%, which means 500 euro gross. For the second part between 10 to 20k, you will get 10%, which means 1,000 euro. And for the last part, between 20 to 28k, you will get 20% from the 8k, which means 1,600 euro. So in total, for your 2 placements as a commission, you will get 3,100 euro. Depending on where you live, you have to pay your taxes. You have to pay taxes everywhere, but I mean the rate is different. Here in my country, it is around 50%, which means that you will have 1,550 euro netto. And this is on top of your base salary. So let's say that, for example, you have 2,000 netto. It means that this month you will get 3,550 euro in hand, which is really pretty interesting for an entry-level job. And with this model, if you have 4, 5, 6 starters in a month, then you can really make good money. You can have 5 figures commission with 10, 15, 20k. But the downside of this model is if next month you don't have any starter, then you will be on your base salary. You have no commission. So it can be a bit the roller coaster here. But all in all, if you make an average between 1 and 2 placements per month, you will be making very good money. Now, let's see how it works in contract. So usually in contract, the commission scheme is extremely complex. So I will keep it very simple. Usually, you can get between 7 to 12% of the margin that you generate, depending on how big the margin is. The bigger the margin, the bigger your percentage. If you are doing good, you can get 15, 17, even 20% of the margin you generate. So let's take an example and let's say that you have pretty nice margins. In general, you charge around 20% to your client, which means that you are entitled to 10% commission. And you have around 20 contractors, and with those 20 contractors, you generate around 10k gross profit per week, which means 40K per month. So if you take your 10% commission, it would be 4,000 per month. But once again, you have to pay taxes, half of that. So it is 2,000 netto, 2,000 on top of your base salary. And if you have only 10 contractors, for example, for 5,000 gross profit, you apply the same logic and you will have 1,000 netto commission per month on top of your base salary. So in contract, you can't have 20K commission, but you have more stability, which at the end is the same in terms of how much money you make in a year. So now let's see how fast you can grow and what kind of evolution you can expect. So you start as a rookie, as a junior consultant at around 25K gross per year. Then within 2 years, you can become a senior recruitment consultant and your base salary will start somewhere around 30 to 35K. Then within 3 to 5 years, you can expect to become a principal consultant with your base salary starting anywhere between 40 to 50K. And then if you become, after 5 years, a lead or a senior principal, then your base salary will be above 60K. But again, it is purely indicative because we are in a meritocracy, which means that it solely depends on your performance. So maybe you will need 1 year to become a senior consultant. Maybe you will need 3 years to become a senior consultant. Maybe you will need 3 years to become a principal consultant. And maybe you will need 5 years to become a principal consultant. It doesn't matter. It's not a race. It's just to give you an indication. Now for the commission part. Not only it depends on your performance, but also it depends on so many factors that if you want to have a clear vision, a clear idea, you have to apply what I've explained before to your personal case. But I can always share my case, even though it was 4 years ago, because since then I'm running my own business, but I can always explain you how it was working for me when I was working in an agency. So if I take my example, working for 5 years in a staffing agency as a principal recruitment consultant in a contract team with around 11,000 pounds weekly GP, which is around 30,000 euro for around 20 contractors, I was making a bit more than 85,000 euro gross per year, with 55% going to taxes. So making 6 figures a year as a recruitment consultant is possible. But let's be honest, I was a top performer of my office for multiple years and I never get close to that. So certainly if you are managing a big team because you are also taking commission in your team, or if you are managing an office, or if you really have like 15 or 20K weekly GP, probably you can do it. But that's very challenging. And by very challenging, I mean that it is probably the 5-10% of the business. However, if you are doing good, making between 65 to 75K per year after 3 years in the business, it is totally achievable. And you are not even 30, it is your first job. I was 28 when I left. So it's a lot of money and probably more than most of your friends who are not doing a recruitment or a sales job. So based on my research, this seems to be applicable in Europe for sure, in the UK, in the US, and most probably in Australia. But I have no experience with Asia. So if you have any experience with countries such as Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, Malaysia, etc., do not hesitate to make people benefit from your experience in the comment section. I try to be as concise and transparent as possible. I hope you like it. If so, please like the video, subscribe, activate the notification bell, and see you in the next one for more content like this.